Finding Meaning and Purpose for the Highly Conscientious Type in a Seemingly Meaningless Universe. Hello, and welcome wonderful people back to the channel for another exciting video essay. Or if you're new here, a double special warm welcome. I have some deeply interesting and worthwhile ideas to share with you today. It is not anything really revolutionary or entirely unheard of, but ideas that are valuable, grounded in real-life experience and knowledge, and it might be well worth your time. To preface this video essay, I recognize that I am nobody special in the grand scheme of things. I am simply one human being living life, among billions of others, on this truly amazing planet of ours. I do humbly recognize that it genuinely is a real blessing to be alive right now, despite the pain and suffering, on this beautiful earth we call home, at this marvelous point in time. Nevertheless, we are living in an unpredictably dangerous universe. We all live in a world that could kill you in a million different ways at any given time. The real miracle is that something horrible hasn't already happened to you or killed you. I haven't won myself any Darwin Awards yet. Thankfully, I've somehow managed to survive this long. And being a YouTube true crime addict, I get the added bonus of being able to get that sweet schadenfreude from endless videos of other fools making fools of themselves from the safety of my home. Schadenfreude is a German compound word translating literally to harm joy. It describes the secret pleasure, satisfaction, or amusement you feel when you see someone else experience pain, failure, trouble, or humiliation. And somehow that helps me manage my own pain. I think I personally get the most satisfaction out of watching predators stupidly walk themselves right into police stings. I'm so grateful not to be that dumb. I am humbled to recognize that. I guess I am one of the lucky ones. And if you are watching this now, and you are alive and in reasonably good health, then count yourself as one of the lucky ones too. Let us not forget the fact that it is statistically more probable for us not to be here, and it is a true privilege being alive today. It truly is an incredible marvel that we are not one of the millions and millions of unfortunate people that didn't make it today. From the near infinite number of things that could kill you, or that killed any one of your ancestors that needed to be alive to put you in the world. It is just such a profound, statistically unlikely miracle that most people take for granted. Even I forget sometimes that what it really means to be a mortal, fragile human being is that you have to take life as it is, all the wonderful blessings along with all the pain and suffering. That's just a quick, interesting existential observation I thought to share. Before continuing, I would just like to take a moment and recognize all of our families and ancestors out there. They also had to survive life, to be there to make it possible for you and I to be here, right now. And that includes my own family. Especially my stepdad. I know I'm hard on him sometimes. But I do love him nonetheless. And even though a main theme of a lot of my mental health awareness advocacy work and video essays sometimes overly focuses on my own parents' parental failings, and the consequences of that mental fallout of childhood trauma, it might seem like a malicious attack blaming others to defer my own personal accountability. I assure you, that is not the case here. My intention is to heal my own mind, so that I can use my pain and suffering as a tool forged in the fires of hell to help other people. All that psychological analysis really is for educational purposes to try to heal myself, and to try to understand my fractured nervous system and the world around me so that I may be of service to others, with the precious short amount of time we have here. Regardless of my cynical attitude, know this: I do love my parents very much, and I know they did their best. I absolutely do recognize and deeply appreciate all of the loving things they have done for me over the years. And hey, being a trained psychologist, analyzing everything, particularly childhoods and family dynamics, kind of is what we do. And psychologists gotta psychologize. Okay, now with all that said, let's get on with it and jump into the good and painful stuff. Another main theme of mine is that for most of my life, I carried a heavy, persistent sensation that nothing I did mattered, that nobody truly cared, and that I was essentially worthless. I noticed this internal void as far back as grade school, assuming at the time that everyone around me walked with that same quiet sense of isolation and low self-esteem. Yet, I found that sometimes, even from the lowliest of places, ordinary people can arrive at staggeringly meaningful insights in the world we find ourselves in. There is no limit in the realm of human ideas. While I consider myself rather unremarkable, I have reached a few noteworthy milestones in my life that lend a bit of necessary weight and credibility to the heavy subjects we will explore. I hold a bachelor's degree in sociology and philosophy, a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling, and I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps who fought in the War on Terror in Afghanistan in 2009. Now, hundreds of thousands have served in the military. That alone is unremarkable, but I take a lot of pride in facing that intense difficulty and fear in war as a service to others. Sadly, it turned out to be a pointless war, but I am honored to have served, and that remains one of the foundational anchors in my life. That said, that brings us to where I am now. Given my unique circumstances, as a 42-year-old disabled veteran living quietly alone with higher education in the daunting fields of psychology and philosophy, I have been afforded an extraordinary amount of time to contemplate the universe. I have spent most of my life, countless thousands of hours, agonizing over the biggest questions known to mankind in all of the sciences exploring all of existence that we know of. Ranging from the counterintuitive quantum mechanics of the subatomic realm to the vast, indifferent expanse of a cosmos filled with hundreds of billions of galaxies. I recognize clearly that my suffering is not unique. Pain, illness, and uncertainty are the universal, essential weight of the human condition. However, my situation as a disabled veteran grants me a rare privilege. I have time. Lots of it to do whatever I want. And I can't do much else, so I work with what I've got. Most people in our society, and in the history of the world, are so relentlessly consumed by daily toil, work demands, or family obligations that they lack the quiet space to sit still and contemplate these deeper realities. Despite the agonizing, chronic physical and emotional pain I endure daily, I remain deeply grateful to be alive, to have food, to have shelter, and to possess the mental clarity to reflect upon fundamental questions. What are we doing here? What is the ultimate purpose of human life? What is real, valuable, or sacred? What is the nature of God, love, and intelligence? What does it mean to be mortal, knowing with absolute certainty that physical death is inevitable? And does it matter if God or a personal divine being exists? Do I have any say whatsoever of whether or not heaven and hell are real, or that death brings a total, eternal non-existence of who we are? What awaits us on the other side? Most people rarely have the time, the intellectual capacity or curiosity, or the psychological courage to examine these scary realities directly. This perspective comes from surviving severe childhood trauma, growing up in an environment where I rarely felt safe, content, loved, or valued. Standing before these existential depths after decades of emotional isolation forces a choice between two paths: descending into total, bitter cynicism, or forging a self-authored framework for survival. The framework I have built to navigate this reality is what I call loving intelligence and radical empathy. Loving intelligence is an act of pure self-preservation and executive agency. It is the deliberate decision to take a hyper-analytical mind and channel high cognitive capacity, moral discipline, and clinical rigor into active stewardship. It means choosing to offer radical empathy, extend clinical dignity, and execute ethical duty, not because a cold universe promises a reward, nor because those around us have earned it, but because doing so represents the highest expression of our own human character. Chapter 2. Deconstructing the Greek taxonomy of love and the rupture of familial storage. The pervasive confusion surrounding human affection stems largely from the poverty of modern language. By utilizing a single word, love, to describe everything from transient physical desire to lifelong sacrificial commitment, contemporary discourse obscures the precise mechanics of human connection. The ancient Greeks possessed a far superior taxonomy, categorizing affection into distinct operational domains. Understanding the failure of love in personal experience requires deconstructing these ancient categories. Eros, romantic or passionate love named for the deity of physical desire. Eros represents intense instinctual attraction, but while powerful, it is inherently volatile, biological, and unstable when relied upon as a primary foundation for long-term relational architecture. Philia, deep platonic friendship built upon mutual respect, shared values, intellectual equality, and reciprocal loyalty. Philia requires two active, emotionally functional participants who recognize and honor each other's sovereignty. Ludus, playful, flirtatious love marked by light-hearted interaction characteristic of early courtship or casual social play. Pragma, enduring, committed love forged over extended time through compromise, shared duty, emotional resilience, and intentional alignment of long-term goals. Philology, self-love representing the regard one holds for one's own mind and body. While dangerous when tilted into narcissism, healthy philology provides the essential baseline of self-respect required to establish boundary control and resist relational abuse. Agape, universal, transcendent charity representing the highest form of unconditional care. Theologically, agape is defined as the pure, boundless, self-sacrificing love that God holds for creation. It is a love so pristine that flawed, traumatized human beings are almost entirely incapable of sustaining it consistently without divine grace or rigorous moral discipline. Storge, familial affection representing the instinctual, protective bond naturally expected between family members, particularly parents and children. Storge is intended to serve as the foundational blueprint for a child's psychological development, an unearned, unconditional sanctuary of safety, dignity, and care. The catastrophic failure of affection in the lives of trauma survivors centers directly upon the total collapse of storge. When caregivers are relationally stunted, emotionally absent, or caught in unaddressed generational trauma, storge fails to materialize. The child is not offered a safe baseline of dignity, nor are they recognized as a sovereign human being worthy of undivided attention. Instead, they are treated as an inconvenience, a projection, or a commodity. When storge breaks down in early life, the relational architecture of the individual is shattered at its foundation. Without a functional baseline of familial care, building philia becomes exceptionally difficult as the individual develops hyper-vigilance toward betrayal. Eros feels untrustworthy and dangerous, as physical proximity without emotional safety invites boundary violations. Pragma appears unattainable, and agape feels like a distant, abstract theological myth. Crucially, the breakdown of storage reveals the underlying reality of transactional love. In dysfunctional family systems, affection is entirely conditional, tied strictly to utility, performance, or compliance. When an individual possesses no immediate functional utility, or when an individual's truth challenges the family's defense of denial, the illusion of care evaporates. The family unit fails to grant even the simplest currency of love, presence. They do not seek quality time simply because they love. They interact only when a transactional need demands it. Recognizing the failure of storage is not an act of emotional bitterness or perpetual victimhood. It is an objective, clinical diagnosis. It establishes that the persistent feeling of being unloved is not a personal defect, nor a reflection of intrinsic worthlessness. It is the logical, predictable outcome of a shattered relational contract. Chapter 3: The Transactional Mismatch. To further understand why emotional connection fails within damaged relational systems, one must examine the specific modalities through which care is communicated and received. Utilizing Gary Chapman's clinical framework of the 5 love languages, we can map how structural mismatches in relational currency generate acute feelings of emotional isolation. Quality time, priority number 1, undivided presence and unhurried engagement. Feeling most valued when seated with another human being without the constant intrusion of digital screens, competing demands, or superficial chatter. Words of affirmation, priority number 2, truthful validation and spoken cognitive grounding. Sincere expressions of appreciation and verbal acknowledgement that reinforce relational safety. Acts of service, priority number 3, practical assistance that lightens daily physical and operational burdens. Receiving gifts, priority number 4, material tokens of thought and effort. Appreciated for the underlying gesture, though secondary to emotional presence. Physical touch, low priority for me, non-verbal physical contact. Placed at the bottom due to a lifetime of broken trust, and the hyper-vigilant physical discomfort response. When an individual whose primary relational currency is quality time is placed within a family system that operates purely on transactional utility, a profound communication breakdown occurs. To demand quality time from a relationally stunted individual is to ask for a currency they do not possess the emotional wealth to pay. A stepfather who has never sat beside his stepson to inquire about his inner world, his passions, or his existential pain is an individual living in severe emotional poverty. For decades, the traumatized child internalizes this distance, assuming there must be something fundamentally wrong with me that causes them to withhold their time. Clinical maturity reverses this toxic assumption. The realization dawns that the caregiver's emotional detachment is not a testament to the child's worthlessness, but a revelation of the caregiver's own profound limitations. They are relationally incompetent, lacking the baseline emotional intelligence required to understand what it means to be present, to give of oneself, and to prioritize those they claim to love. Furthermore, when physical touch rests at the bottom of an individual's hierarchy, compromised by a lifetime of breached safety, physical trauma, and violated boundaries, superficial physical gestures or performative hugs do not communicate love. They induce hyper-vigilant discomfort. When quality time and words of affirmation are ignored and replaced by empty transactional gestures, the relational dynamic collapses into complete emotional isolation. Chapter 4. High Conscientiousness as the Moral Engine. Fatherhood, clinical duty, and the stewardship of the unheard. When emotional feelings fluctuate and external expressions of familial love fail entirely, what holds a moral life together? One answer is high conscientiousness. In psychological literature, conscientiousness is defined by order, thoroughness, self-discipline, duty, and an unyielding commitment to obligation. Where raw intellect merely analyzes reality, and emotional feeling fluctuates based on immediate circumstances, high conscientiousness acts as the practical engine of character. It is the force that compels an individual to stand up, execute duties, and shield others, regardless of whether gratitude, warmth, or love are returned. This principle is illuminated through the reality of fatherhood and the core priority of quality time. As a stepfather myself, I have an overwhelming desire to spend every available moment with my children, specifically because they are stepchildren, whom I love with absolute, unearned devotion, providing undivided presence, guidance, and unwavering support. When a marriage collapses and structural separation forces an individual to live apart from their children, the resulting heartbreak is devastating. The anguish of no longer sharing a home with one's children exposes the stark contrast between a conscientious caregiver and an emotionally detached parent. It is incomprehensible how parental figures can offer mere scraps of their time to their offspring. A stepfather who never sat beside his stepson, never inquired about his passions, and never offered an hour of undivided attention represents a profound failure of paternal conscientiousness. For decades, the traumatized child internalizes this neglect, assuming personal fault. The breakthrough occurs when clinical clarity reveals the truth. The stepfather was an emotionally stunted, relationally detached individual living in blissful ignorance of the profound damage his indifference caused. High conscientiousness transforms this historical pain into a sacred duty. It drives the individual to break generational cycles entirely, ensuring that one's own children, Mia and Amelia, are offered the unconditional presence, quality time, and respect that was once withheld. High conscientiousness manifests daily across three core domains of stewardship. 1. Paternal presence, offering undivided, non-transactional quality time and verbal validation to one's children, ensuring they never doubt their intrinsic worth. 2. Clinical rigor, maintaining diagnostic excellence, radical empathy, and professional ethics for patients within the mental health system, using lived trauma as a forged instrument of clinical insight. 3. Domestic stewardship, providing dedicated care to companion animals, such as Jeffy and Marty, recognizing that caring for creatures who offer quiet, non-verbal loyalty is a pure form of moral duty. Chapter 5. The Practice of Loving Intelligence. Trauma, hyper-vigilance, and radical empathy. Navigating an existence where familial love failed and cosmic guarantees do not exist does not require surrendering to despair, moral passivity, or perpetual bitterness. It requires reclaiming executive agency through the synthesis of loving intelligence and radical empathy. When an individual accepts that affection is not an automatic birthright handed out by biological kin, they stop looking for water in dry wells. Expecting a relationally stunted caregiver to suddenly achieve existential awareness or offer genuine validation is an exercise in futility. Recognizing the limits of their emotional capacity means accepting that one cannot reason a relationally deficient person into sudden relational competence. Furthermore, clinical self-examination requires disarming the trauma-induced defense mechanism known as refuge in grandeur. Traumatized, hyper-intelligent individuals frequently comfort themselves with the narrative that unfulfilled potential was destroyed by childhood neglect. While comforting, this narrative is a cognitive trap that externalizes current agency, granting negligent caregivers ultimate power over one's adult destiny. The truth is far more liberating. One's potential was not destroyed. It was simply redirected into survival. An individual does not owe the world grand cosmic achievements to justify their historical pain. Intrinsic value is realized right now through daily, quiet acts of stewardship, moral discipline, and clinical care. Clinical analysis provides 3 definitive conclusions regarding mental health, trauma, and reality. Sanity validated. The hyper-analytical trauma survivor is not broken or losing contact with objective reality. Structural coherence. The generated philosophical frameworks are structurally sound, though forged under hyper-vigilance, a powerful mind using logic and categorization as armor to survive early neglect. Generational closure. Recognizing that pain rolls downhill allows the individual to release the expectation of retrospective justice. Accountability remains with the perpetrator, but responsibility for healing rests firmly with the survivor. Loving intelligence is the ultimate synthesis of this entire journey. It takes a hyperactive, highly analytical mind and channels it into active, purposeful stewardship. It is the conscious decision to treat others with radical empathy, clinical dignity, and unyielding respect, not because they have earned it, nor because the universe promises a reward, but because doing so is the highest expression of human agency. Through loving intelligence, survival transforms into genuine vitality. Existential isolation turns into a self-authored life. We become the ultimate source of the order, dignity, and care we once sought from others, forging a legacy of unwavering integrity for ourselves, our children, and those we choose to protect. Chapter 6. The Paradox of Existence. The physics of hope, the humor of mortality, and self-authored purpose. When I step back and examine this entire trajectory, from childhood trauma and shattered familial storage to the formulation of loving intelligence, I am struck by the magnificent absurdity of the human condition. Consider the sheer, statistical impossibility of our very presence on this planet. Fun fact from evolutionary biology and astrophysics: every atom of iron in your bloodstream was forged in the thermonuclear heart of a dying star billions of years ago. For you to sit here today listening to these words, an unbroken chain of thousands of your biological ancestors had to survive ice ages, saber-toothed tigers, bubonic plagues, global wars, and sheer bad luck. If even one of those ancient relatives had taken a slightly different step, or gotten eaten by a cave bear before reproducing, you and I would not be having this conversation right now. We are the triumphant survivors of a 4-billion-year evolutionary marathon, yet we spend our brief flicker of mortality agonizing over text messages, digital screens, and family members who lack the emotional bandwidth to sit next to us and watch a movie. If that isn't the ultimate cosmic joke, I don't know what is. The ultimate paradox of human life is that we are fragile, biological creatures bound to a cold, physical universe governed by rigid, unfeeling laws like thermodynamics and gravity. Gravity doesn't care if you're having a bad day, and entropy will eventually dismantle everything we build. Yet, inside these mortal bone and muscle suits, we carry a hyper-analytical mind capable of asking, what is love? And what is true? We are star stuff that woke up and decided to care about honor, ethics, and emotional integrity in a universe that rarely offers them automatically. As an agnostic Christian, I recognize the deep intellectual honesty of admitting that we cannot scientifically prove what happens after our physical heart stops beating. A hard atheist claims with 100% certainty that the universe is just an unguided, Darwinian machine, while a religious fundamentalist claims with 100% certainty that they know the exact daily schedule of the Creator. Honestly, both positions strike me as equally plagued by intellectual hubris. I'll take the modest 1% margin of intentional hope every single time. I would rather live my life as if my choices matter, as if my children deserve absolute devotion, and as if my clinical patients deserve radical empathy, than surrender to bitter, hopeless nihilism. And let's be entirely real for a moment. If I am firm in the 90th percentile of human intelligence, and 90% of the world is running around acting purely out of unexamined self-interest, it's no wonder life feels isolating. It's like playing a high-stakes game of chess where 90% of the players are playing checkers, and the other 10% are off playing golf or watching football without a care in the world. I used to envy those blissfully ignorant folks, wondering why I had to carry the heavy burden of hyper-awareness, global pain, and constant reflection. The clinical breakthrough comes when you realize that your high intelligence and high conscientiousness were never a curse. They were the heavy armor your mind forged to protect you when your environment failed to keep you safe. You are not crazy, you are not broken, and you do not need to spend the rest of your life screaming higher-level concepts at dry wells expecting water. You cannot reason a relationally stunted person into sudden emotional awareness, and that is completely okay. We release the expectation of retrospective justice, drop the defense mechanism of refuge in grandeur, and step fully into executive agency. We stop asking why unsupportive people didn't invest in US, and we start investing that immense cognitive energy into what actually matters. We invest it into quality time with our children, Mia and Amelia, ensuring they grow up with the unconditional presence and verbal affirmation we were once denied. We invest it into clinical rigor, offering diagnostic excellence and radical empathy to patients walking through their own dark valleys. We invest it into daily domestic stewardship, caring for faithful companions like Jeffy and Marty, who remind us that loyalty and love require no complex philosophical jargon. And we invest it into simple, beautiful human anchors, like playing the piano, listening to the morning birds in Granville, and looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6. Loving intelligence is the ultimate synthesis of this journey. It is the conscious, courageous decision to say, even if the universe is cold, and even if familial storage failed me, I will be the engine of warmth, order, and dignity in my world. We do not wait for love to be delivered to us by fate or family. We generate it ourselves through intentional, moral action. Thank you for listening, for walking through these heavy ideas with me, and for choosing the path of light, agency, and radical empathy. Stay healthy, stay happy, keep your mind clear, and know that your life has profound, self-authored value.
Auschwitz, auch Dachau, Monowitz und Birkenau, Mauthausen, auch Ravensbrück, Sachsenhausen und Buchenwald. Die Donner-Nase Donner, wie Wort warves Malt, welche Sobibor Sheumno und Majdanek Bergen, Belsen, auch Tröplinka Niemals vergessen Hasse und Star